not your typical wrestler, but he found his passion on the mat. I'm Jason Puckett.
And I'm Nicole Chadwick. All that and more tonight on Phoenix 14 News. Elon teaches us about being global citizens, and one student took that with him when he traveled thousands of miles from campus. Good evening and welcome to Phoenix 14 News.
In 2011, he won the Lumen Prize, a $15,000 research grant given to support students in an outstanding academic project. Our Sophie Nielsen-Colding talked to this Elon student about how he combined his passion for documentary with his love of Africa.
And I mean, washing clothes, for example, was an all-day affair. You'd go and scrub your hands scrub the clothes by hand, and then you dry them on the line.
Dan Kohler had to do things a little differently in the 6 months he spent in Zambia. He shot a documentary called The Tobacco King, the idea behind his Lumen project.
That's kind of where my comfort zone is in some ways, and I'd definitely love to pursue a project over there and kind of connect a little bit more of my roots again.
Kohler lived in Uganda until he was 10 years old. His parents did missionary work there. Africa was his first home.
When I went back to Zambia, all of that kind of came alive again. I was like, wow, I really miss some of the culture.
After a scouting trip over the summer, Kohler knew he was serious about shooting a documentary in the southern African nation. That spring, he left Elon and made a lot of changes, right down to where he slept. This is Dan's room at Elon. In Zambia, his space wasn't as big. He only had from the wall to about where I'm standing, and he shared this space with a roommate.
And this is the whole family. So there's Ruth, the tender.
For 6 months, Kohler lived with a Zambian host family.
Definitely a second family. And I miss him a lot, really do miss him.
The time came for Kohler to return to the American way of life after half a year of assimilating into Zambian culture and forging strong relationships.
That's my favorite photo of all of us together.
It wasn't easy to let go.
So there's such a focus on people because you don't have a lot of computers, you don't have a lot of electronics, you don't have a lot of these other things, and so the focus is people.
Back from Zambia, Kohler had a semester of editing to do. The documentary is now complete, and he just finished the trailer. All the hard work paid off.
It was like making the dream become a reality, basically.
Sophie Nielsen-Colding, Phoenix 14 News.
The Tobacco King is about relations between a white Zimbabwean farmer and his Zambian workers. Check out our website, phoenix14news.wordpress.com, to find out more about the documentary and an extended interview with Dan Kohler. And the official screening of Kohler's documentary isn't until April, but we can show you the trailer right now.
These are pictures of the farm where I grew up before we were forcefully evicted from there. I still miss Zimbabwe very much, but Zambia's got a huge potential.
These are people who've got money, and so they're able to cultivate large hectares of land and crop.
George is one of the better growers in the country for sure.
George is just good.
It's not flipping the same. Redo it.
But not too much to us. So we want to take him out.
If you don't like the system, you must leave.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Some days it goes well, some days it doesn't go well, but I've got really nowhere else to go.
Elon faculty and staff are mourning the loss of a colleague. Professor Emeritus Jim Pickens died Friday, February 3rd. He retired in 2007 after teaching at Elon for more than 2 decades. Pickens taught classes in psychology of nonviolence and psychology of American protest music. He also served as advisor to Students for Peace and Justice. The funeral service will be on Sunday, February 12th at 2 p.m. at the Episcopal Church of Holy Comforter in Burlington. Big news on the stock market involves a favorite pastime of college students, Facebook. Julie Morris is live with this week's College Consumer Report. Julie?
Thanks, Nicole. Instead of just connecting friends, Facebook will have another purpose, making money for public investors. Facebook announced that they will join other technology giants like Google and Apple on the stock market. But what does this mean to the everyday user? Well, an IPO, or initial public offering, is the first time a corporation offers its stock to the public. And while changes won't be obvious to users at first, Mark Zuckerberg has a new group of people to answer to, his board of directors, which will end up being the people who have the most shares of Facebook stock. Now, Zuckerberg and his team won't just be focusing on the design aspect of social networking site. Making money is going to be added to his plate. So instead of introducing a new timeline or the much-wanted dislike button, there will be more advertisements on your homepage in order to keep investors happy. So don't get your hopes up on buying a share of Facebook in the near future. The IPO is only available to the people with the big bucks. And when Facebook stock is made available to everyday investors, experts are expecting the stock to start at $53 a share, a little out of the average student's price range, and in order to make the investment worthwhile, one share is just not enough. Looking out for the college consumer, I'm Julie Morse.
Thanks, Julie. Feel like technology is keeping tabs on you? Google announced last week that they plan to follow the activities of users across their affiliated sites, including YouTube and Gmail. Gathering information about their users isn't anything new, but for the first time, the site is tracking data from all of their websites. Even though users won't be able to opt out, the changes are aimed to better tailor ads to the users. The change will take effect on March 1st.
Alcohol sales increased in 2011 to nearly 3%. This increase is the strongest in the last 5 years, according to industry data. Sales of high-end alcohols also increased in last year by 5.8%, and the overall revenue increased by 4% to $19.9 billion.
If everyday college life is eating up your savings, there are a few new tips that might help you hold on to your cash. A recent Huffington Post article listed 10 ways that college students can save money this semester. Some of the tips might be common knowledge to you already, like eating in instead of going out or buying used textbooks instead of new ones. But some were a bit more creative. The article recommends you try locating the ATMs from your own bank so you can skip those fees. Also, instead of buying the latest fashion trends and spending more at the mall, recycle your clothing by inviting friends over to swap styles and share outfits.
Facebook, TV, texting. There are a lot of distractions when you need to get work done. New research from Stanford University shows that multitasking affects the social skills of youth. Multitasking has increased among teenagers and college students, especially with the rise of social media. Here are some tips to help with multitasking. Devote your full attention to your most important tasks and reduce distractions. Check text messages and emails at specific intervals. Manage your time using a calendar or planner. Organize and prioritize tasks by creating a list of everything you need to do and then checking them off as you go. Students in Belk Library after hours now have more places to study. For this semester only, the second floor will stay open 24/7, just like the first floor. This is only a temporary change. After this semester, the librarians and campus police will reevaluate whether the change should be permanent. Head librarian Kate Hickey says that the temporary change was brought on by student requests.
And we're doing this because the students frankly have asked us to, because it's very annoying, understandably, for them to have to pick everything up at 1 o'clock from the second and third floors and bring them down to the first.
It's Black History Month, and here are a few cultural events coming up in the next week. On February 6th, Midnight Meals is hosting a midnight poetry slam and open mic night in Arazu. On Saturday, February 11th, the Elon Law School is hosting the 5th annual Diversity Day in Greensboro. The keynote speaker will be Judge James R. Spencer, who served as the first African-American judge for the U.S. District of the Eastern District of Virginia. On Sunday, February 12th, there will be a Get on the Black Church bus where students can attend a worship service at Ebenezer United Church of Christ. And next Saturday, the 19th, the Elon Black Alumni Network is hosting their Wall of Famers reception in Johnston Hall from 3 to 5 p.m.
A bus route could be coming to Burlington. Officials discussed the possibility of starting a fixed route bus system by 2014 at a city council retreat on Friday. It would be the first time since 1978 that Burlington provided funding for a public transportation system. Assistant Planning Director Mike Nunn mapped out potential costs of starting and operating such a system and answered questions from a panel of local politicians. Through the help of federal grants, the city would only have to pay 10% of startup costs, including buying vehicles and installing stop signs, but would have to pay 50% of operating costs afterward. Passengers would likely have to pay $1 a day to ride the bus. And public transportation advocate Patrick Harmon says he likes the direction the city is going, but wants to get the bus idea moving a little faster. Burlington residents could...
It's fairly encouraging that they're willing to take a serious look at this. I'm a little worried about the timeline that they're talking about. It's pretty far out. So.
Burlington residents could have more public transportation options by expanding services provided by Alamance County or the BioBus, run by Elon University. Next week, we'll bring you more on the public transportation and how Elon's BioBus plays a role in the lives of some Burlington citizens.
Greensboro now has a newspaper unlike any the city has seen before, and it was started by an Elon student. Mary Yost combined her desire to spread awareness about homelessness and poverty with her passion for writing. She created the Greensboro Voice. The street paper, as it's called, is written by a combination of volunteers and homeless people in the community and addresses the challenges of living a life in poverty. The Greensboro Voice publishes a paper monthly, and its contributors are thankful for the chance to share the stories of people living on the street.
I feel that there's a need for us to get the paper out here and get the purpose and the mission out here for people that do not recognize and don't really see the homeless as them in being in the situation that they're in.
Some athletes are born to defy the odds against them. Our reporter Brandon Marshall saw just that when he caught up with one wrestler from Eastern Randolph High School, determined to win despite one big challenge.
For athletes, wrestling is a sport where two unarmed individuals struggle hand in hand, attempting to unbalance each other. But for 14-year-old Ryan Leonard, wrestling has a different meaning.
It's the bomb, dude. I couldn't live without it.
Why is that?
Because it's like my favorite sport. I like the individual part about it. You can't blame anybody for it, and they can't blame you.
Leonard's teammates admire his determination on and off the floor.
He doesn't get put down like I thought he would be. He's down to earth. He does everything by himself.
Different from his opponents, Leonard was born without arms, but this doesn't stop him from competing. His passion for the sport overcomes the physical challenges. Leonard wants all his opponents to wrestle their hardest.
I'm looking for him to give it his best. I know he ain't gonna let up on me, so gotta do what I gotta do.
Valentin Navarro is Leonard's closest friend, a friendship that first started on the mat.
That's my dude. He helps me with everything.
Navarro and his teammates encouraged Leonard toward his first high school win, a win that surprised everyone.
I thought I was gonna have a heart attack.
Even Ryan was shocked.
I didn't know what to think.
Why is that?
It was awesome.
What I try to tell my kids is anything can happen. You work harder every day. It's not the harder you work, the better you get in wrestling. It's the harder you work, the luckier you get in wrestling.
Whether or not luck helped him out, Leonard's determination brought home a victory and success on the mat. Brandon Marshall, Phoenix 14 News.
Leonard plans to continue competing during the wrestling playoffs, which begin later this month. Coach Schurer says he looks forward to seeing his team continue to compete after the regular season.
Unless you're a big women's basketball fan, you might not have heard of Kay Yao until now. Yao is a Hall of Fame women's basketball coach who started her career here at Elon. She passed away in 2009 after a battle with breast cancer. Phoenix 14's Joe Bruno walks us through her legacy and how she's being remembered.
She has the special knack of making everybody that has ever played for her feel special. And I was definitely one of those people that felt special.
When Kay Yao became Elon's first women's basketball coach, she instilled a winning mentality, a mentality that led Elon to a 57-19 record before leaving to coach at NC State. From there, a spot in the Hall of Fame.
Coach Yao was extremely competitive, really nice person, really soft heart. But you didn't always see that on the court.
McKinney is an assistant coach here at Elon. She played under Yao back in 1979. And when Elon head coach Charlotte Smith played at UNC, Yao was the head coach of her rival.
She was a great person with a good heart and just always valued the importance of not only making great basketball players, but great people as well.
In 2009, Yao passed away after a long battle with breast cancer. On Saturday, Elon honored her. From pink shoes to pink pom-poms, Elon lived the pink life for the day.
I was fortunate to play Athletes in Action several years. I was fortunate to play pro ball for a year and played for some very good coaches. But I think a lot of what I do stems from Coach Al.
The thing she talked about is not getting consumed by the W's and the L's, getting caught up in the wins and losses, and just making sure that we're producing great people. And so I think that's what she's definitely most remembered for.
Joe Bruno, Phoenix 14 News.
Elon also honored Yao by picking up a victory and defeating the Furman Paladins 76-58.
Coming up on Phoenix 14 News, the warmer weather seems like a blessing, but it's harming some local businesses. We'll tell you who it is hurting and how that could affect you. Hockey fights are common on the...
Piles of food, team jerseys, and cheering are all found at a Super Bowl party. We looked into something that's not as common. Welcome back. Punxsutawney Phil predicted 6 more weeks of winter, but so far our winter's been mild. Mallory Lane looked into what the warm winter means for local farmers.
There's something different in the air, and no, it's not the smell of cows. It's heat.
We were running 20 degrees above normal.
Jane Isley says farming runs in her blood.
I'm the 7th generation of owning the farm. The farm's been in the family since 1790.
But even though she's used to a few challenges here and there, this year the warm weather has been a bit of a burden.
I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't.
Just a short golf cart ride down the gravel road, you come to a field of white. Under those white tarps,
strawberries.
The tarps are used for protection.
It keeps them about 8 degrees warmer under the canvas than it would be without the canvas.
The temperatures vary from place to place, making the call for whether to take the covers off the crops or not difficult.
In town, they'll talk about it's going to be 36 degrees. Well, that is at an airport someplace where and those temperatures are taken at 5 feet above the ground.
The forecast for today at Elon is 55 degrees. Now, depending where you stand, that number may vary. Here on the ground at Elon, the temperature, 55. Isley Farms is just a quick 10-minute drive down the road, and the temperature here, 43.
That's another concern that we're just going to, if we...
Sorry about those technical difficulties. We'll have that story for you later or online. And now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. It was cooler today, but the warm trend will continue over the next few days. Here's that forecast for you. Tomorrow and Wednesday will be sunny with temperatures near 60. Thursday will be also sunny, but temperatures will drop to the low 50s. Friday will warm up back to 60 degrees, and Saturday will be the coolest day this week with a high of 45.
Gas prices are on the rise, but we've got where you can go to fill up for less in this week's Pump Patrol. The cheapest place to fill up is the Marathon on Haggard, where regular is $3.47. The Shell and Citgo on South Church Street are more expensive, with regular priced at $3.53 for both stations. Right now, the Kangaroo on Haggard is the most expensive place in town. Regular is $3.58. Coming up on Phoenix 14 News.
More than 100 million Americans tuned into the Super Bowl last night, and we found a couple of Elon students who aren't your typical fans.